So it's been about 2 days since the Naruto X Boruto also Ninja Storm Connections trailer dropped, and since then I've tried my best to find information that's available to share, but a little difficult to obtain. So in this video, let's look at the confirmed information that we have for Naruto X Boruto Ultimate Ninja Storm Connections. So to look at some base level information here, just to start it all off, in the trailer it doesn't specify on what consoles this game is going to be released on outside of the PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4. We now know based on Bandai's official website that this game will be released on the PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PC based on Steam. Now one thing that I was also interested in as well is the pricing for this game. Now, as you know, a lot of games that have been released on PlayStation 5, they've attempted to increase the price to $69.99. Right now, across all platforms, Ultimate Ninja Storm Connections is looking to be $59.99. Do I think a lot of people are going to be willing to pay the $60? I don't think so, but we'll see how that stuff changes as we continue to get information moving forward. Now, as far as the release date is concerned, CC2 usually announces games at least 6 months earlier, and most websites don't even have pre-orders yet. They just have product placement holder. And they typically do that throughout all retail chains, whether it be Best Buy, GameStop, Target. On those websites, you will always see a placeholder regardless of the pre-order being available or not. And that also goes with pricing. So even though that it's confirmed through Best Buy that it's $59.99 across all platforms, we could possibly see that change. It is a little different though, considering that Naruto Storm 4 was released in February, and they decided to give us a release trailer for this upcoming game in February without releasing the full game. It's interesting though, considering that there aren't any too many new assets that are being developed for this game as we've seen in the trailer, and that leads me to believe that maybe there is something new that's coming with this game that we haven't seen yet in Storm 4. A portion of that just makes me excited. Speaking of which, let's look at the features and some of the things that we know for a fact is coming with this game so far. So the one thing that they really highlighted on is the abundance of story and how they're implementing it to this game. So we know that the story is moving from Naruto's childhood up into the final battle with Sasuke, but then we also understand that there are re-edits in the story, and then selected battles from Store 1 to 4 have improved graphics. Now the improved graphics bit is coming from PlayStation's blog, and then the highlights bit is actually coming from Bandai's official website. There won't be any form of Road to Boruto highlights or canon Boruto story, but we still understand that it contains anime scenes in addition to the battles. Now there has been a very big focus on there being a new game exclusive story, likely non-canon, possibly Boruto related, and that's through the Best Buy website. Now it is important to note that Best Buy is the only source saying that it will be specifically a Boruto story. Central Japan says that the CC2's plans have changed and it will not be a Boruto story, but rather an Indra and Ashura one. But this isn't necessarily a confirmed source. This is someone who's been leaking information, and it isn't to say that there's anything wrong with anything that they've been releasing to the public, but we cannot confirm or deny the information that they're sharing. We also understand that as far as all the characters that will be starting out on this game, they're all from Storm 4. All the characters are from Storm 4, will be available. The only character that I see people make mention of is Lars Alexanderson, but we haven't seen any information from him. We know that Asura Otsutsuki and Indra Otsutsuki are a part of this lineup of characters, and they do state that more characters will be revealed in the near future, and that's coming from a PlayStation blog. When we look at the graphics, so far in the trailer, we know for a fact that there are a few filters that have been added to the game, and it's just a neutral change. It's a natural, more color lighting to it. I have a side-by-side picture here. In Naruto Storm 4, everything seems a little bit more grayed, whereas with Ultimate Ninja Storm Connections, there's a green hue to everything. Mostly notable with this side-by-side of Tsunade in Storm 4 and Tsunade in Ultimate Ninja Storm Connections. You can kind of see where that green hue is coming from. Seems a little bit more natural in terms of the lighting. Now, because we're talking about the graphics, we do have to understand that on the PS5 and the Xbox Series S and X, it will be running at 60 FPS, and that's based on the official Bandai website. With that being said though, I'm assuming that with PC, since PC as well as since Storm 4 was already in 60 FPS, that PC will also have Ultimate Ninja Storm Connections running at 60 FPS. What is interesting though, however, is that based on the Bandai official website, that the PS4, Xbox One, and Switch will remain at 30 FPS. This is an interesting decision, considering that you're re-releasing a game, and again, I say re-releasing loosely because Ultimate Ninja Storm Connections Connections doesn't necessarily have too many new assets for you to consider a newer game, but it's interesting to know that for the PS4, Xbox One, and Switch, you're leaving it at 30 FPS. I'm gonna assume it's because those consoles, there's a life expectancy on those consoles at the moment. Stormform had already pushed the barriers on what they were attempting to do with their game, especially with some of the lag spikes that they had back then. No matter the updates that they had over time, they can't necessarily fix the performance issues of the PS4, Xbox One, nor the Switch. But I think it is interesting that they are releasing it on those old consoles again. Or not necessarily so much the Switch, but the PS4 specifically, just because the PS4 and Xbox One, they're quite well known for having performance issues. I'm surprised they're not sticking to the newer next-gen consoles, just because I think it's better for them to implement changes that way opposed to trying to release them across the board, which at this point, anyone who's going to get this game on the PS4, Xbox One, or Switch, I feel like you're being let down as far as what you're actually purchasing, considering that you're paying full price for it. Now, we know very little at this point about the gameplay, but we do know that there have been some changes to it. There's still going to be some 2-player local play, and it will still have up to 8 players online. The other thing that they did show was Sasuke, Sakura's, and Sarada's team ultimate ninjutsu animation, and that was just based on towards the end of the announcement trailer. One thing that I have seen so far, and I wish people didn't jump on it so fast, but this is how much I know that a lot of people haven't worked retail. This cover is more than likely not the final, since for the previous games only temporary art was released with the announcement. This cover, I don't think, is the official cover. I think this is a placeholder. I don't think we're going to get any form of information regarding the actual cover until we get closer to the release date, or when they decide to release another trailer to release more information to the public. But this cover is not an official cover. I think this is just a placeholder. I've seen this happen with dozens and dozens of other games outside of anime games, and this isn't my first time seeing it. I've seen it happen on Best Buy's website. So for all intents and purposes, I used to be a GameStop employee, and I remember when Storm 2 was first being released, and they had a cover for Storm 2 in the system for GameStop that wasn't released to the public yet, but that cover was never used for the official cover of the game. So that's always something to really keep in mind. I don't think the cover is the final, but it is something that I know a lot of people were getting on as far as like Twitter and stuff, just making their own personal covers, which I think is great. You know, do what you want, but you know, sometimes I think a lot of y'all just want to hate just to hate. I'm just saying, that's not me protecting the game. You know what? I'm gonna leave it alone. The last thing though is that Storm Connections has Naruto X Boruto license, meaning that they now can use Boruto anime characters. Previously, they only had license for the Boruto movie characters. I'm gonna leave all the links and whatnot in the description below for you guys to check it out for yourself, just so that way you get the opportunity to read it yourself individually. I do appreciate for anyone that has decided to stay this long in the video. And as always, don't push or shove. Keep yourself safe. My name is Post Kuchki. I'm out.